Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm 38 years old and I've got a huge passion for the game industry. My dream job would be designing games or producing and creating the artwork for board games. Um, I've just attended the UK Game Expo where I took my game and got some good feedback on that. But yeah, so a little bit more about me. I've spent quite a long time trying to design this game, getting it printed, getting it ready, and having multiple playthroughs and testing it to a point where I've got an almost near perfect finished product. Um, my passion, like I said, is to get into the gaming industry, and this is kind of hopefully how I can do that with this game now. Um, I currently work for a youth charity, so I've helped loads of young people find better jobs. I've helped them with their confidence. I've helped them with like many different life skills that they need to get by in life. And kind of now I want to take my passion and hobby a little bit further forward. So, my game that I've created is called Turbo Dash, and essentially it's a point-to-point racing game where you've got to get from the start line from point A all the way to the finish in point B and set the best time doing so. It's a push your luck racing game as well, so there's not many of those games out there that involve pushing your luck and racing at the same time. And I wanted something that was quite fun to play because my wife's not the biggest fan of games, so I've always spent a lot of time in my spare time creating games that I can play myself. This game, Turbo Dash, when I took it to the UK Game Expo, I got some good feedback on it. A lot of people said just how unique the game quite like was. There's not many games out there with this similar style. They also had a really good fun time playing it. I got some good feedback in terms of better ways to track time and fuel as well in the game, so you don't run the risk of knocking dice and losing track of where you actually are. But overall, the feedback was really good. It was really positive, and I'm hoping to enter this game into the competition and hopefully get it into a production ready game. So at the moment, for me, I would say it's 90% of the way there. The core elements down, the rules are ready, the playthroughs work. Essentially, it definitely would be ready by the end of 2027 to have in production. It's like I said, it's 90% the way there. Everything's here, it works. There's a couple of ways that we need to sort of reformat the printing of the tiles because this is the size we need. And originally the tiles that I got was this big with obviously different artwork on, and there's obviously 3 lanes in this, whereas the one I want to now run with has only got the 2. I need some better car tokens. These are the ones that I've matched up to the scale of the road tiles. So you've got the 2 versions. You've got the convertible version. You've got the hard top version, the back to back. So that's kind of roughly a little bit about the game. Mechanics wise, it's essentially you have 3 forfeit cubes on your player dashboard, matching your colour. You have a timer dice and you have a fueler dice, and they're both d20s, and they basically, for every space you move, you deduct a point of time and a point of fuel. You also have 3d6 matching in your car colour, and those are your push your luck element road travelling dice. You then have a checkpoint marker which can then improve your fuel and time as you go on throughout the game. But essentially the idea is roll the dice and you have up to 3 chances to be able to progress your car further down the road. If you fail that and you can't quite make the roll, that's what you use your forfeit cubes for, and you will mark a space and move along accordingly as you would normally do. Use all 3 forfeits and the game's over. Fail to reach the finish line, the game's over. But hopefully you'll reach the finish and set a good score for yourself. And then if you want to play it again next time, you've now got something to work towards to try and beat. It's also multiplayer, So there's many different ways to play the game in terms of multiplayer setups. Currently, after some feedback from the Game Expo, I might explore a couple of different ideas of how multiplayer can work. But essentially, so far, each person has their own dice, and you plot a route along the track. What I'll do now is I will give you a little bit of an overhead view of the setup of the game that I've currently got, where we've already finished one tile in the middle, so it'll give you a good kind of overall view of essentially how it would work. So this is Turbo Dash setup. We're kind of already playing through. We're currently up to where we've started. The road tile is now being discarded to start the discard pile, and you flip them over, so obviously you see the reverse side of the tiles in the discard pile. We've got our Blue Star tokens here. We've got the dashboard set up. We're currently on 17 fuel and 14 on the time, and we've earned 1 blue coin along the way as well. We've still got our forfeit cubes, and we've got our 3 dice here. So what we do is we take them, give them a quick shuffle, and roll them along to see what we get. So we've got a 2, 3, and a 4. Now you can plot them in any order. You can also re-roll them, so you've got up to 3 rolls to try and make the journey along the track. So now we are here, currently playing with the hard top version, and we can we make this? I don't think we can, so we will need to push our luck at some point. But what we want to do is essentially move forward and get to the end of these 2 spaces up here. Every space we move costs us fuel and time unless we pass through these icons. So if we pass through the blue star one, we'll earn a blue star token. Passing through the time icon means your time gets frozen for that space and any space afterwards. And the same applies for fuel. So passing through a fuel space, anything before that counts. You know, it's going to deduct from your fuel timer, but afterwards you would add +2 for every space you move through. So a 2, 4, and a 3 essentially gets us. We can go here because we can move diagonally, or we can move straight ahead. We can move to the right if we wanted to, or to the left even. That would make more sense. But I think we're going to try and move ahead if possible. We cannot go into this space because it's blocked with a traffic icon. So now we can take the other 2 dice and we can roll them again. We've got a 1 and a 3, so the 3's okay. So what we'll do is we'll just set that to one side. If we plot it onto the actual track itself, it's locked in place. But we don't want to do that, so we'll just keep it to one side and we'll have that for the next one. But we've only got 1 roll left, and as you can see, we need a 5. So let's try. No, we've got a 4. So we have a blue star on our dashboard from an earlier space we passed. So one of the things you can do with blue star tokens, as well as saving them to reach, once you reach the finish line, you can cash them in for extra points. You can spend 1 blue star for your first dice attempt, and we'll cash that back in, which means we can change this dice to anything that we want it to be. So for this instance, we'll move it to a 5 and we'll plot them on the track. So then we would move the car forward, and it'll go 1, 2, 3. So we've lost 1 time because we've moved through an empty space, and we've also lost 1 fuel. So we'll just change those up and we'll get them set up to the right ones that they should be on. So essentially that's going to be going down to 16, and our time's going to be going down to 13 as well. Some feedback I got was different ways to track time. Let's just go with 15 on this for now, and I might just do so. So we've reached the end now. What do we do next? So we would discard the road tiles, and the way we do this is we move them down. So every one comes to the end, stack them up, and then we flip them so they are on their adjacent side, face up in the discard pile. Wait until we get to the end of the current stack to draw from. This road tile, while we're still on it, slides right down, and then we draw 2 more in the current orientation, placing them in just like that. And we would keep going along the journey making our way to hopefully reach the finish line.